Now I'm back to me to answer questions and say hey and say thank you and all that.
Hey, thanks,
So,
man. I appreciate it. All right, you now can unmute yourselves and ask questions, and video is encouraged so we can see your lovely, beautiful faces.
yeah, I'd love that.
And the workshop sign up link is in the chat if you guys want to check that out, and also the film drop link if you guys want to grab some of that gold that we have, and we have some Portrait 400 left over.
I heard that clear.
I have a low
Yeah.
signal.
Oh,
I
I
have a
got you
low
pretty clear
signal.
now.
Can you? Okay, my question is, when you're talking about negative, bleaching the negatives, is that something that Indie can do by request, or is that something that somebody who has their own system has to do on their own?
Oh, sorry, I should have clarified that. On that, it's not even anything I'm sending to Indie because it's just peel apart pack film. So when I'm shooting the 100C, I'm saving the negative from the Polaroid, and then I just do that in my kitchen.
Okay.
And if you just look that up on
Okay.
YouTube, there's a whole bunch of videos of people showing how to do it.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Is that film? Can you get it still?
No,
Not new, but
it's like
like maybe
$100 a pack now.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
like $10 a shot now.
So almost like regular film. I'm just kidding.
Okay. If raising hands isn't working, I'm happy to answer them from chat or Q&A or whatever.
Yeah, you can just, I mean, I've allowed you to unmute yourself, so you can just unmute and ask away.
All right, I covered it so well. There were no questions.
Yeah, it was so good.
Hi. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm another April, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
I really loved all the work that you showcased, and how I know you were saying you were using the right lingo or wordage for it, but I think it was like perfectly described in your own way.
Oh, thank you.
And I was just wondering, I shoot with I'm still kind of like fairly new to the film game. I've been doing a lot of like random point and shoot cameras, but my brother gifted me a Canon AE1 program, so I've been like having a little fun with it, shooting more manually. But
Awesome.
but I also like to kind of shoot on the go if I'm like taking some trips or just being spontaneous. So do you happen to have like a recommendation for like a fairly good point and shoot camera? I know like a lot of the cameras you have are really, really nice, but is there something that maybe you might recommend that will go well with some of the film that you've recommended?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that without having the price point. Right now I'm using a Yashica T4, which I really, really love and think it's such a beautiful like run and gun point and shoot, but they're between like $450 and $750 right now. So it's pretty high. Olympus makes like a stylus epic that sometimes you can find like 250, 300. Or if you just want to go with any of the Olympus zoom point and shoots, you can kind of find those between like at least like $150 if that's more in the budget.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've heard about like the Olympus point and shoots a few years back, but that's good that like you're also kind of mentioning that it's a good alternative. But
Yeah.
Ryan, like your work is amazing. I've been following you for years, and I'm like always in and out of Instagram. So now that I'm kind of back on it and just seeing you still being so active and amazing, like I just love it. So thank you so much for
really appreciate it. Thanks, April.
All right, Ryan, we got a couple questions from the chat. Can you talk about your post processing?
Oh man, as little as possible. Like I've been using Indie for so long and we're getting so dialed in that usually I'm trying not to do very much at all. I'll do levels and a little bit of curves, and I'll do, skin healing. But other than that, I really try not to do a lot. The biggest example of where that isn't true is on the underwater stuff, because when I shot underwater, it was so flat because you're shooting through so much water that I would like set the contrast to 100 and save it and then open it and set the contrast to 100 again and save it, just to get some of the like, just to get a better feel in it, because a lot of those came back really flat. But for me, I'm trying to get so dialed in on my metering and use of light and film stock selection that I really don't do most post processing. I open levels and drag in the black and the white point. I almost never even adjust the white balance. So it's like levels and skin healing, and then maybe a little bit of dodging and burning if I feel like I didn't quite nail it with the light. But my post processing is very, very minimal.
Could you share your thoughts on half frame cameras?
I owned one for a hot second for like 3 months, and it just did not do it for me. Some people use them really well, but I basically don't have enough to even speak to it. I owned it for a couple of months. The look wasn't right for me, so I almost have nothing to say. I owned one for 40 days and sold it. I'm sorry.
I shot a half frame camera, the new Kodak one that came out, and I felt like I was shooting for like a month. It was like 72 frames or something like that. But the quality, I mean, they're actually kind of great for like small prints or whatever. So that new Kodak camera came out, it was like $50. So that's the only one I've ever shot. And it's John though. John has shot the not the
F. Olympus,
the Pen F
or whatever.
Yeah, and he actually really loved it. You get so many frames, it's like just forever shooting. Let's see, any more? Let's see. Yeah, I don't think we have any more
I
questions.
had one more.
Oh,
Okay.
amazing. April.
This is April.
iPhone.
When you're talking about we're Avery. I'm a local here. I drop my film off at Indy all the time. I was wondering if you use a tripod when you do those low light situations for film.
Nope. I mean, it would probably be better, but I hate traveling with a tripod. So the only stuff I've done on the tripod was some of the self-portrait stuff. But other than that, I just shoot wide open at like a 15th of a second on as fast a film as I can do, and then just see what happens. But almost no work you've ever seen from me is on a tripod.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be better, but I'm not very good on a tripod either. I like moving around too much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We had a Danielle in the chat says, I have a question. Do you want to hop on here, Danielle, or you want to type it out? In the meantime, what light meter do you use, if any?
I use a Pentax digital spot meter, and I'm going to cover that pretty extensively in the online course we're doing. It's my favorite light meter by light years, the Pentax digital spot meter.
How much is that one? It's like, is it going up now?
I've got both of mine for under 100, but I think they're like 400 now.
Yeah.
I see someone with a hand and video. How do we do that?
Oh yeah, there we go. All right, April's iPhone.
Oh, that's who we just talked to.
Oh,
yeah. Good to see your face though. That's fun.
Yeah.
We have another question. If you had to give a newbie one piece of advice or thing to focus on off the bat, what would that be?
Oh man, if it's newbie, just shoot a ton. I mean, there's no substitute for just doing it over and over and over and over. My favorite piece of general advice right now is try working on a little project that you're not going to show to the internet. Try working on something you care about that you're going to make some small prints of and show friends and family in person. Because I think the whole culture of social media and getting graded on it immediately can be really damaging to creativity. So that's something I'd say.
From a technical standpoint, I think grab a camera with one lens, one film type, and get to know it really well. Like if I could go back, I would buy all these different film types and I would get the scans back and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. But once I honed in on like Tri-X, like I shot, well, actually, no, that's not true. HP5 I started with, and I got to know HP5 so well that when I changed to another black and white, I was like, whoa, okay, those are the differences. But when I would shoot all of them together, I didn't really hone in on what. So pick a film stock, maybe one color, one black and white, and one camera and one lens, and get to know it so well that when you change, you can really tell like what's going on. That's just my, I know you didn't ask me, but I'm just saying. Okay, we have another question. Let's see here. if Portrait 800 was discontinued tomorrow, what would be
Oh,
your
man.
next everyday carry?
Man, that's brutal. Cinestill 400D and 800T, because Portrait 400 is just not my jam, and Cinestill at least has this like mysterious kind of painterly little otherworldly palette to it. If 800T was gone, I mean, if Portrait 800 was gone, I'd switch to 400D and 800T as my two main stocks.
I just bought my first medium format camera. It's a Yashica TLR. Any thoughts on using an old TLR versus a 35mm film camera?
Oh man, that's just so personal. I'm not a good TLR shooter at all. I've made a few images I really love, but it's all about just finding a camera that works for the way you want to shoot. And TLRs, I can't get close enough. I turn the wrong direction when I look into them. My square compositions are horrible. They're amazing cameras, but I think you'll be the person to answer that for you. But I wish you a lot of good luck.
Anthony, you're up, man. If you want to come. Oh, sorry.
Cinetil, is that spelled with an S or C?
Oh, Cinestill, like cinema film, like Cinestill.
Okay. And that's a 120 film?
Both. They make 35
Okay.
and 120.
Okay. Is that similar to Fuji?
No, I really wouldn't say it's similar to Fuji. It's got a really unique color palette and grain to it, but they're beautiful, and they make a daylight film and a tungsten film, so it's pretty awesome to use them.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Anthony has a question. He said he would happy to use audio.
We have someone with their hand up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to unmute people though. I'll have to leave that to you.
Walls.
Oh, hi.
But did Anthony want to go first?
Oh, whatever. I'm not going anywhere. Let's encourage the hand raising system, and then I'll answer Anthony's for sure.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony, and thanks, Ryan. Thank you so much for all of this. Yeah, I'm similarly new to film. And you talked, Ryan, in the beginning about like travel being what gets your inspo going.
Yeah.
Is there like, are you working on any sort of project? Do you sort of just see what comes? Do you like that structure?
No, I can't handle any kind of structure or planning or ideas I have before I start shooting at all. So it's always just places I want to go and people I want to meet. I'd love to have a little more inclination towards that, but my brain cannot manage it.
Because there's a thread through your work.
I want it to feel like me.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, very interested in having them feel not a certain way, but when I look at it, where I say, yeah, like that. But that just comes through being with people and feeling it out. It's never a like, I will now create a photo with this mood ever. It's just the recognition of when it feels like that in person.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your question. Anthony, you didn't raise your hand and you were punished, but now it's your turn.
This is a cruel world.
Hi.
What was I going to ask? So I've forgotten after all that waiting. So I had a question. You had talked about expired Cinestill 800T and how your favorite image ever was on that. And I was just hoping you could like talk a little bit more about that and how much of that favorite came from the experience versus like the technical qualities of the film that made it your very favorite.
What a good question, man.
Yeah, it's a huge compliment, and I felt like you moved pretty quickly through that moment.
I'm covering it quite a bit. I have a whole little section on it in the week-long workshop, but I don't mind talking a little bit about it. The answer is like 50-50. It was a super special experience of meeting someone for the first time that I thought it was going to be an amazing opportunity to work with, but they had already made incredibly beautiful work. They've been in vogue. They've been shot by famous photographers. So I had a lot of nervousness about like, what am I even bringing to this that makes it valuable for them? But we had the chance to talk and share some really personal stuff. And I had been working at the time on those self-portrait long exposures. where, you know, long exposure on film, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what it's going to look like. And I thought that the space that provided was actually really beautiful, you know, of, I don't know if we got anything. So in talking with her, I said, hey, we've both already made a ton of predictably beautiful work. What if we do this? What if you move around however you want? What if I shoot film so expired, I don't even know if we'll get images back? What if I shoot long exposures of these things? So it kind of shifted the focus of the experience from these are the images we're going to get to what is it going to feel like to do this? And then I don't want to say irony, but then the revelation of, whoa, we both let go of making something good. And I made my favorite image of all time out of the experience. So it really, the experience, you know, I try to prioritize, but the technicals that time actually played a huge part because on purpose, I was shooting film that might not even work, which really added to the dynamic of how we expressed ourselves, because it wasn't like, you better do a good job because these photos need to be great. It was like, do whatever you want. We might not even get pictures. And it really just shifted the space for us in what I thought was a really spectacularly beautiful way. I love that question, by the way. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being
I'm
here.
going to talk pretty extensively about that in the week-long workshop that's coming up, but I love talking about it. So thank you.
Cool. I will be there at the workshop, so I'll see more of it then.
Oh, amazing. I hope to really get in depth with that and do more in Q&A about it.
Great. Thank you.
How cool.
That was a good question.
I loved that.
Yeah. Any more questions from you guys in the chat, or you guys want to hop on and ask some questions?
I can't
Ryan's
see
here.
chat or whatever, so you just keep.
Oh, yeah,
directing
yeah.
me.
Let's see. Yeah, no more questions.
Can I ask a question?
You sure
I don't
can.
know if you can hear me okay. Perfect. I'm on video on my computer, but I'm dialed in on the iPhone. So, Ryan, I have a weird association to you. I think you used to be in Utah quite often back in the day. Is that right?
That's where I grew up.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I'm pretty well associated with a lot of Utah photographers, and actually learned how to shoot in Utah in a studio photography. And so I'm kind of curious because I remember seeing you back in the day, and honestly, not that I forgot about you, but I was unassociated to you on Instagram until Indy posted you this week, and so that's, you know, I'm happy to see you still working and doing your photography because it's beautiful. But I'm trying to think back into the day. I think this was pre-Instagram too. I was familiar with your work, like I said, and you know, you seem pretty consistent with your style. I would say even like 15 years ago or so when I was more keen on what you were doing. And so maybe that's not true, but that's my perspective, is you seem to have like a very consistent style for a very long period of time. And I would say, one, do you agree with that? And if you don't, that's totally fine. But two, if so, how have you kind of maintained that style and or shifted, or what have you changed in your own personal approach to film photography or photography as a whole as you've kind of grown into the space and obviously become like a really talented photographer that everyone's well aware of?
Wow, that's another amazing question. I hope everyone else thinking of their questions feels a lot of pressure because of how good these questions are. Just kidding. You know, it's kind of funny to answer that because I think a lot of the times you only know the answer looking backwards, but then you're going to answer it as if you knew back then. But how it started was I heard the first album by The Used, and it blew my mind. It made me understand that people felt things that I had going on inside me, and it gave a voice to things I was going through. And early on, I thought, I want to make something that makes me feel how that made me feel. And then it was about finding stuff that was really personal to me to work on. I grew up Mormon. It didn't go well. I was really shy. I wasn't very masculine. I had a hard time with bodies and nudity and sexuality. And as I started working with friends and models and artists, I just had this thread of like, I want to feel looking at these images how I felt listening to that album. And, you know, that's not like a direct translation to, and so I started working like this, or I talked to people like this. It was just a slow progression of, when do you feel that? When do you recognize that? When is there something in the way of that? When did you feel that and made something and it went well? When did you feel that and tried to interact with it and it went poorly? And then going through the images and seeing like, this one, this is one of the ones. Why? What was happening when you were shooting? What was happening with you? What was happening with them? And starting to really prioritize that mindset. And then it just slowly shifted how I worked. You know, I kind of moved away from photo shoots. I started working with the same people over and over and over so that we could build this rapport and understanding and have ongoing conversations about how we were trying to make this stuff. But if it's been consistent, I'd say my aim has been consistent of, I want to feel something looking at these, and the thing I want to feel is complicated. It's not just beautiful. It's not just an advertisement. It's an expression of complicated and conflicting things. That's kind of hard to answer short. I feel like that'd take 2 hours to answer properly, but I really appreciate the question. I hope that's at least
Yeah, of course.
some
Thank you.
insight into it.
Yeah, I'm from Utah too, also formerly Mormon. Now I live in LA. So I think that's a really beautiful and vulnerable answer. So thank you.
Honestly, my keynote presentation that I'm doing at the longer week-long workshop is basically like a 2-hour exploration of just that question of
Cool.
how do you find what matters to you and make it show up in your work.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks. I see someone else with their hand up. I can't see their name or something, but I see a guy with headphones on and a hand.
Richard, you're up, man.
Yay. And now he just disappeared.
He's like, no.
He was like, that's it. I'm out of here.
I'm
Never
good.
mind.
I just wanted someone to say my name.
Oh, yay.
There he is.
I missed the mute button. Sorry about that.
Oh, hey, Richard.
Hey there. Ryan, I love your work.
Oh, thank you.
I noticed in the film that you laid out, you did not mention Kodak XX, and I was curious.
Yeah.
Especially
Do you
in
mean
35 film.
Do you mean CineStills XX that they do?
They do yes. I forget what they call it, but I use the traditional Kodak.
To be honest, it just fell into it's a slower speed that I end up shooting in low light so often. And like I said, most of my work is traveling, and Tri-X is so flexible that I basically only bring Tri-X when I travel. So I've shot a couple of rolls and I'm not opposed to it. It's just when I would end up making space for it in my travel bag, and then I ran out of film I could shoot in lower light, it just led to the like, oh, I can't travel with this. I've shot a couple of CineStills XX rolls in 120, and I gotta say, I loved that. Like, I was I was surprised at how much I loved it.
Yeah, I do love that film in 35 mil. One other quick question.
Please.
Was it 400, Delta 400? Have you used it? Do you like it?
I've seen so much stuff from Ilford, and I would call it comparable and really beautiful. I just early on kind of formed a relationship with Kodak. I shot the ads for the Portra 160 and the Portra 400 films, and we kind of developed this relationship where I'd do some stuff for them and they'd send me film. And then I was so happy with my Kodak results, and I had a relationship with the company that I never really branched much out into Ilford, but I don't have a single bad thing to say about it. I've just shot so little that I don't really feel qualified to like present like, here, let's talk about these Ilford films, because I've shot 98% Kodak to 2% Ilford.
All right. Well, thanks for taking my
But they're
question.
wonderful. I've seen so much good work.
Might not be as interesting as the prior to, but
oh no! Oh, I hope you know I was just kidding about that. I love to talk to everybody.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard.
Have you ever shot Fuji Neopan, and how do you feel about it?
The Neopan 1600, I've shot like 4 rolls, and it was beautiful, and then it died, and then it was too expensive for me to ever keep pursuing. But I shot some of that Neopan 1600, and I actually still have a few rolls, so I should do that.
What about Acros?
Same thing. It's crazy beautiful, but 100 speed film just rarely finds a spot in my travel bag.
Cool. Any other questions?
I hope that was clear. I'm not trying to talk about the best films. It was just a little insight into what I use and why. So there's all kinds of absolutely amazing stuff. I just don't have personal experience with.
We have another question.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to throw out really quick. We talked about Fuji 400H being expired. I'm in Portland and want to throw out that somehow Citizens Photo has, I don't know within the last 6 months, but for at least like a year or two after the announcement of it being expired, they said that they would order it and it was still showing up. So something to keep in mind for people who are around the Portland area. I'm not sure if Citizens mails out or not, but that might be a way, might be a way to take advantage of that. Yeah.
Thanks for that info.
Sure.
Ryan, I have a question about traveling.
Let's do it.
Is there, outside of like wanting to have a condensed bag, like, are there any tips or things you wish you had known or mistakes you made, like either when transporting the film or?
Don't ever check your film in a checked bag. If it goes in your checked bags, it's going to get destroyed. I let my Portrait 800 and under go through the hand scanner, but I hand check all my Cinestill just because I know it's a little more, I don't know, I shouldn't speak to the technical qualities of it, but I always get my Cinestill hand checked.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading that online. I just flew out of JFK and all of the security lines have the new like full CT scanner, I guess is what it looks like.
I ask about that. If they're the brand new scanners, I make sure to ask what's going on with them. I know they rolled out some that might be more dangerous to film.
Yeah, that was the impression I got. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have one from YouTube. Hi, Ryan. How much pre-planning do you incorporate into your photography as far as scouting locations and advanced poses, etc.?
Basically 0. So that's a really short answer. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at having a mood board. I'm terrible at having an idea. I just go to someone's place and make the best of it. I'd say a lot of my work has just been defined by finding a tiny little pocket of light in a not interesting space, I think, and doing my best. Almost none to planning, scouting, ideas, anything.
We have one from the group here. How does Indie handle expired film? Do we just mark it while sending it in? Also, favorite things to do while waiting for scans. Also, film stocks for darker skin colors. Portrait 800 does funky things to skin tones.
Oh man, Portrait 800 on dark skin is one of my favorites of all time. I wish I had the image to pull it up. I have a photo of my friend's wife, Stephanie, on Portrait 800 on my Pentax 6.7 that is in the running for my favorite portrait I've ever made in my whole life. And she has extremely dark skin. I'm only going to be able to pull it up on my phone. I don't know what good that's going to do because it's not really going to show off that beautifully, but
you can share your screen again if you want to, if that's too much.
Well, I don't have it ready on my, oh, maybe I could. Hold on. Maybe I can. Give me a second.
And while we're waiting, I'll talk about the expired.
Here, hold on.
Oh, you got
it? So if I don't start, hold on, I got to go back to figuring out how to share my screen. Where's Zoom?
It's at the bottom, it should say
share screen. Share. Is that up on the screen?
That's it, man. You got it.
That's Portrait 800. Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to underexpose if you're going for correct skin tones, but I think Portrait 800 on dark skin tones is one of my favorite looks out there.
It's gorgeous.
Thanks.
It's all right. I'm just kidding. It's beautiful. We have about the expired stuff. We don't do anything to it unless you mark it that way. Unless you have questions about, like, if it's super old, we might push it, but that's only if you ask us to. So we don't do anything different. We just run it through.
Yeah, I should be real clear about that. When I'm shooting expired film, I'm in the mindset of it is what it is. Don't shoot crazy expired film and expect the lab to do something impossible with it.
Amen. And don't send us anything that you've dipped in Kool-Aid either. We've had people send us stuff. They're like, we dipped this in Clorox. Can you put it in your chemistry? Like, nah. Any other questions you guys have? I love the interaction. This is what the whole point of this was, for I can see your beautiful faces and we can ask questions. I love the interaction here. It's great.
Come to the week-long workshop. Use the discount.
Yeah, use the discount. We have it in the chat here. You can go
starting Monday.
Yeah, there's discount code and all that. Starts Monday. Actually, it starts Tuesday, the 13th. I think Monday.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Ugh, look at me, poorly advertising.
Don't even know. I don't even know. I only knew because it was going to be Monday and then we changed it to Tuesday. Yeah.
It's like this, but 10 times more information.
Yeah, so we have some more film left in the film drop. If you guys want to go hop over there and grab some more before it's all gone. And, that's at cost. So if you guys don't know about that, that is at cost. We just add the processing to it. So it's really cool. Hold on, we got one more. Nope, that's just a comment. Thank you so much, Anna. But yeah, so I think we're good. I think this is awesome. Thank y'all for the interaction. This was so much fun. So hopefully guys can do. You guys are, who here is, besides Anthony, is coming to the workshop? Do we have any attendees that's on here already? I am. Okay, cool. Raise your hand if you are. That would be kind of cool. I'd love to see. Cool, we got a few. That's awesome. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of information. So I'm really excited about it. And I love this format. Do you like this format, Ryan?
Yeah, I loved it. I like seeing people's faces and hearing their voices. That definitely adds so much to it.
Yeah, when we used to do this on YouTube, it was it's kind of, just reading comments is kind of what we're used to doing, but seeing their faces is new. It's really great. So
Josh, I have a text that says Josh should mention the winner while we're live.
Cool. Let's do that. How do I know who won?
I have no idea. I'm just telling you the texts I'm reading. So we're giving away a free seat to the online workshop, and I guess that's what we're going to announce.
All right, I have it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Steven Caserta is our winner.
Steven, you won. Woo!
Is he in here? If he's not in here,
then he's out. Cute without the E, cut from the team.
All right, cool.
Amazing. Come to the workshop and come to my in-person workshop in Oregon. I want to meet you.
Thank y'all so much for doing this and being brave enough to go, like, with your faces and everything on here. So cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. Thanks everyone for being here. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Love you all.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good one. See ya.
Josh, I'm too scared to hit end or